Hello, welcome to With Love Wreath Designs. My name's Michelle, and today we are going to be doing a super simple Pottery barn dupe of the cute ghost wreath. And I will add a picture to it up above. Okay, first thing you're going to need is a black wreath. I got this one from Michael's already painted, but you could also take a regular grapevine wreath and spray paint it black. And then I also got fairy lights. Mine are purple. The dupe has them, the Pottery Barn version has them as white, but I like purple, so I went ahead and got purple lights. But you get whatever colors you like. And all I did then is attach the battery pack to the back, and I just wrapped the lights all the way around. I also added a little hanger so I could hang it on my wreath hook on my door, because I didn't want to have to try and find a spot to hang it, so I added my own hanger. And then the last thing you're going to do with this part of the wreath is add your bats. I already added one because I kind of wanted to see how well they went in, but you take some bats like this and just cut them, which I already did. So you'll see I've got some here. And we're just going to attach these kind of around the top half of the wreath, not so much on the bottom half. So you just find kind of a open spot, and you kind of just put them in there. You can bend them a little bit to make them, oops, I pushed so hard on the bottom I turned the lights on. Hold on, let me turn them back off while we're doing this part. Okay, once it's hanging on the door it won't do that. Now when you're doing this part, just try and be careful of your wires for your fairy lights. You don't want to tear one of those in half, break that, and then have your lights not work and you have to go get new lights. Not the end of the world, but I'm going to cut this little end off because it's not going where I want it to go. And I'm also going to cut these little nubby things off. There we go. And one more, kind of up here. Again, I'm just trying to be conscious of where my lights are. Yeah, I guess you could wrap the batteries after the bats, but this just seemed like an easier way to put that there. Alright. It's a little dark. When I hang it up outside, you'll be able to see the bats a little better. But that's all you need. The lights are on again, and that's how the wreath part of the project will look. Now we're going to work on the ghost part. Alright, for the ghost part of the wreath, we're going to need a ball. I've got this dryer ball that I got from Dollar General. Came in a 3-pack for like $2 or something like that. So I'm going to use that. It's cloth, which is, I chose it because it's cloth, so that when I glue the fairy lights and things to it, I think it'll stick better than a styrofoam ball, but you could also use a styrofoam ball. That would work too. I've got some pipe cleaners, some fairy lights. Now, make sure when you get fairy lights that you get ones that have a timer built into them, or get ones that have a remote control, because you don't want to have to go around turning lights on and off over and over again on all your projects. And then I also got some fabric. This, they call a flour sack towel. I got a 5-pack of these at Walmart, and I liked it because it was kind of see-through, so you'd be able to see the lights, but also it kind of has like a creepy texture to it. I thought that would be good for the ghost. And I also have like this piece of chiffon that we're maybe going to use over the top, just to kind of give it that kind of shimmery effect. I had this left over from some other project, so we're going to see how that works out. If you could find one of those hanging ghosts from like Dollar Tree, that would work too. My Dollar Tree didn't have any of them, and I looked at a couple other ones and they were all sold out, so we're going to improvise here. I also have a piece of felt to make eyes, and you can see I practiced a little bit, but we're going to use a piece of felt for eyes. This is kind of like the stiffer felt, but you could use any black material you won't have on hand. Anything would work. And then when you glue it down, just make sure your power button and the top of the battery pack is on top. Now for the ghost, I did go with white lights. I said I just wanted my wreath to have the purple lights, but you do whatever colors you like. That's the fun part about DIYing. You get to pick lights. So I'm going to show you here real quick. I'm going to kind of like loop it. And I'm going to make kind of a loop. And I'm going to come back to a new spot and glue it at the top. Kind of, how is that like? For me, that's about 7 inches, a 7-inch loop. I'm going to glue it here at the top. Give it a second to set up a little bit. I also use my little Dollar Tree spatula thing to kind of push the glue in, maybe. You know, then I'll make a loop on this side, kind of the same thing, about the same length. Wrap it around again, do another one, maybe kind of more towards the front, because I have them on both sides now. Kind of more towards the front, loop it again, and then maybe just let this end piece hang loose in the back. Just because I want, and you'll see it better once we get the cloth on, but just so we can have lights kind of all the way through the ghost, you know, instead of just around the head, if that makes sense. Hopefully it'll make sense once, you know, you guys can see it. So I'm just going to glue these layers down in a few spots and kind of hold it down, and then when that dries, we'll move on to the next step. Alright, so you can kind of see where all my fairy lights kind of end up. And they're kind of a little bit long, they're on both sides, kind of around the back, and that's just going to give kind of a good coverage around the body of the ghost once we get this fabric on. So turn those off, and then let's work on the fabric part. So for this, what I'm going to do first is kind of find the middle. So I'm going to fold it in half, and then fold it in half again, if I could not drop it. Sorry, y'all. And then that's kind of the middle. And that's the part that I'm going to want to have go over top of this pipe cleaner here. So I'm going to cut just the teeniest, tiniest of little holes. You could barely see it. And I'm going to feed my pipe cleaner through. So there we're going to have that. And it's kind of got that ghost shape now. This way, sorry. So now you can see it kind of has that ghost shape. And we're going to trim off a lot of this bottom fabric. I just want to get it on the ball first, and then we'll figure out how much of it we need to trim off. Let me show you with the lights too. So now you see with the lights, you can see how it kind of goes down, and then once we trim it, it'll look like it's all the way through. So I'll take this other piece of fabric, and like I said, I kind of want the shimmery on top. You could do yours however you like, but I think it kind of looks creepier maybe with that. I don't know. But we're going to, same thing, kind of find the middle of this little piece here. It's a little wonky and off center, so like I said, it's a remnant piece I had from a different project. I'm just going to teeny tiny hole again, and then try and find it. There it is. Teeny tiny hole. So clearly, we're not going to need the ghost to be this long. It's going to hang too low over the bottom of the wreath, unless that's the way you like it. If that's the way you want it to hang and you want it to be long, by all means, go ahead. I am going to trim this a little bit. So I'm not going to do anything fancy. I'm not going to try and make super even cuts. I'm just going to kind of cut down these corners a little bit. That'll be the first part. And kind of just come across. I'm cutting off this like sewn edge of these towels too, because I don't really need that. And here's the good thing about a ghost. It doesn't have to be even. It can be a little wonky because it's not supposed to be perfect. So there's that. And then what I'm going to do next is hang this in the wreath. So before I cut it, and that's where the ghost is going to sit. Now, like I said, could leave it long. You could leave it long and let it flow over the bottom if you want to. You know what? I'm going to move this bat because that one's just a little bit too, and I'll glue these bats in later. That one's a little bit too low. All right. Glitter. There's glitter everywhere. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to kind of trim this cloth a little more. Then I can determine like I said, I'm bunching it up and cutting it kind of... Alright, so I am cutting it. I'm bunching it up and kind of cutting it kind of crooked because I don't want it to be a super straight line at the bottom. I kind of want it to be a little jagged and off-center a little. I'm going to cut this one underneath a little bit more on this side. And now, before I cut any more, I'm going to hang it up so that okay, I'm back, y'all. As you can see, I have it all trimmed up. I have it just kind of touching the top, this bottom portion of the wreath. When it hangs, it kind of just touches the top. So let's make some eyes and then we'll be done. So I'm going to take my little piece of felt here and I'm just going to fold it in half. Then I'm going to take my scissors and just cut kind of an oval shape. I'm going to go a little big to start with. You can always get smaller, but once you go too small, then you can't get them bigger again. So let me just trim those out. Make it more of an oval instead of a... It's pretty good. So then just hold them up. Maybe just a tad smaller. Just going to trim them just a little bit. Let's see. I like those with big eyes, so I think that's good for me. You make them however size you like them. Add a little glue. And that's it, you guys. This is the finished product, everybody. This is him hanging on my door during the daytime, and in a second here you'll see him at night. I want to thank you so much for joining me today on my video. If you like what you see, please consider subscribing, and we will do all things for your home with love. Thank you so much for being there. Love ya.